A lot of breaking news happening as President Trump has announced Israel and Hamas have signed off on the first phase of the Gaza plan. Trudy McIntosh is across this story today. She joins me live. Trudy, this is a momentous day. We have to await the handover of the hostages and all of the steps of this phase one. But nonetheless, I think a lot of hope around the world that this might be the first step, hopefully, to some peace and a ceasefire.
Yeah, hope that this is the seismic moment that we've been waiting for more than 2 years to end this conflict. We've now seen confirmation from the Israeli Prime Minister's office that Benjamin Netanyahu has spoken directly to US President Donald Trump, that the pair congratulated each other over this peace deal, and also that Benjamin Netanyahu invited Trump to address the Israeli Knesset. I also have this breaking news out of Axios. The US media organisation has spoken to the US President about his conversation with Benjamin Netanyahu. Donald Trump has told Axios that he expects to arrive in Israel in coming days. He says this is a great day for Israel and the world. They want me to speak in the Knesset, and I will definitely do so if they want it that way. Trump added, "My conversation with Bibi was great. He is happy, and rightfully so. This is a big achievement. The whole world rallied to reach this agreement, including countries that were previously enemies." So the latest from Donald Trump there. The confirmation, though, that this deal had been agreed to came via Truth Social. That is how things are playing out in the United States. Have a look at what Donald Trump has said in the details we know so far about this first phase of the peace plan. He says it means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and that Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line as the first steps towards a strong, durable and everlasting peace. He goes on to praise the negotiations that have been underway in Egypt. As for what is going to play out with the hostage release, the Associated Press has been reporting that this will begin to happen from this week, that Hamas has agreed to release all of the living hostages and the bodies of those that have been killed. 20 are believed to still be alive and another 28 have died. In return, Israel, though, is expected to release hundreds, if not thousands, of Palestinian prisoners. I wanted to show you the moment this historic breakthrough appears to have been relayed to the US president. He was there with the cameras in the White House when his US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, handed him this note. And we can actually show you, because of a snapper in the room, what was written to the president. You can see it there, very close, underlined in pen. He said, "We need you to approve a Truth Social post so you can be the first to announce this deal." Have a look at how this moment played out.
They're smart, but they're not smart enough. Oh, my microphone's broken. They're smart, but they're not smart enough. They have been covered by these liberal cities for so many years. And that's why we're all working with Treasury, with all these different departments, to find the criminal conspiracy.
Okay. I'm just given. Yeah, I was just given a note by the Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East, and they're going to need me pretty quickly. So I will take a couple of more questions. Please.
Yeah, quite extraordinary television there, let alone the history alongside it. And we've heard the reaction both from Israel and Hamas.
Yeah, I'll bring you these statements. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on social media has been responding to this breakthrough. He says it's a big day for Israel, confirming that he will confirm the government tomorrow to approve the agreement and bring all our precious hostages home. "I thank the heroic soldiers of the IDF and all security forces. Thanks to those whose courage and sacrifice we have reached this day. I thank from the depths of my heart President Trump and his team for their mobilisation for this sacred mission of releasing our hostages. With God's help, together, we will continue to achieve all our goals and expand peace with our neighbours." We can also bring you this statement from Hamas. This has been released confirming the details of the deal from their side. I'll show you some of the elements of what they have had to say. They say, we quote, "Call on President Trump, the guarantor countries and various Arab, Islamic and international parties to compel the occupation government to fully implement the agreement's requirements and not allow it to evade or delay the implementation what has been agreed upon. It goes on also to talk about its broader goals. Hamas saying, we affirm that our people's sacrifices will not be in vain and that we will remain faithful to our pledge and will not abandon our people's national rights to achieve freedom, independence and self-determination. This breakthrough came after these talks that were being held in Egypt, in the resort town of Sharm el-Sheikh. There was representatives from a series of Arab countries, also from the US side. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, the president's son-in-law Jared Kushner, was also at these talks. You can see what will be now historic pictures. The hugs here between the negotiators after these breakthroughs. We've also got Donald Trump speaking now.
He's speaking now on Fox. Let's have a listen.
The whole group was just amazing, and the military was, as you know, very instrumental in getting this done. We have a great military with great leadership. The whole world came together, to be honest. So many countries that you wouldn't have even thought of it, they came together. The world has come together around this deal, and that's something I would say that without that wouldn't happen. So many countries that you wouldn't have thought of have wired their best wishes and their commitment to do whatever is necessary. The countries surrounding have all signed. I mean, they're all signed up, and it's been really an amazing period of time, and so great for Israel, so great for Muslims, for the Arab countries, and so great for this country, for the United States of America, and that we could be involved in, making a deal like this happen, because it was, many years they talked about peace in the Middle East. This is more than Gaza. This is peace in the Middle East, and it's an incredible thing.
Mr. President, you are expending a lot of effort worldwide to bring about peace. How did this become one of your top agenda items, considering this has gone on for decades and decades? A lot of the Arab nations that have formed coalitions with you were reluctant and resistant for decades to ever be a part of the solution. That was a big part of what happened here today. Can you explain that part of it?
Well, I develop relationships with people, and sometimes those relationships lead to great things. And in the case of many of the Arab nations, the wealthiest nations in the world, if you look, although with what we've done in the United States, I think we top everybody by a lot with the tariffs and all of that. But, having the ability to deal with trade, having the ability to use tariffs to help me make a point, the tariffs have brought peace to the world. I'm telling you, they brought peace to the world. And not only here, but with so many other deals. I've made 7 peace deals where countries were in many cases 30, 31 years, 135, 137 years. They've been fighting and millions of people being killed, and I brought peace. And I did it through, and not all cases, but probably and at least 5 of the 7 that we've done so far, it was through trade. That we're not going to deal with people that fight. We're not going to deal, and we're going to put tariffs on you. We're not going to let you deal in the United States. We'll put tariffs on you. And without that, without the tariffs, I mean, far more than even the money that we're taking in, which is trillions of dollars, essentially trillions of dollars, far much more importantly, it gives you a tremendous road to peace and the saving of millions of lives, just millions and millions of lives. You look at India and Pakistan. I said, well, we're not going to do business with either of you if you don't put it together. These are 2 nuclear nations that were 7 planes were shot down, as you know, and they were really at it. They were going at it, and I said, we're not going to do any business with you. We're not going to have anything to do with you. We're going to put massive tariffs on you, in both cases. And they said, well, we got to start talking about this. This is tremendous amounts of money and power we're dealing with. And within 24 hours, I had a peace deal. They stopped the fighting, and we can go one after another. You've been really nice enough to announce all of the deals, but there have been many deals, and a lot of them. A lot of the settlements were based on trade.
You know, Mr. President, I actually hope the Supreme Court is listening to you right now, because I think you are making a very critical argument, as this very issue will go before the United States Supreme Court, and that is that I would argue that tariffs are critical to your role as commander-in-chief. Your constitutional authority is based in it, and it would cripple your ability to fully defend the country. Mr. President, you know, I think there's a misunderstanding among some about a question I asked you when we were together in Alaska, and that is about the Trump doctrine. I think people don't really understand the Trump doctrine. I totally agree with you. We should never have forever wars anymore. I think military technology is changing that before our eyes. But more importantly, some people seem to interpret that as that you will not use the military. But yet in your first term, you wiped out the ISIS caliphate. You took out Soleimani on that tarmac. You took out Baghdadi and associates. You dropped the mother of all bombs on Afghanistan. And here in your second term, you gave Iran 50 days to achieve a peace deal. They did not do so. And then you said they could not have nuclear weapons, and you did something that nobody thought would happen, and you took out their nuclear sites. How impactful was that decision, do you believe, in this deal being possible today?
Well, Iran was about 1 month, maybe 2 months away from having a nuclear weapon. And if I allowed that to happen, this deal would not have been possible. Or if it was, it would have a tremendous cloud over it, because you'd have a country with a nuclear weapon that was not obviously very friendly. And the power of nuclear weapons is something that we shouldn't even be talking about. It's so massive. And so by doing that, we now have something where actually Iran and a number of people have been talking about a deal, but it's a very much different Iran. And frankly, we've had some very good conversations. And as you saw, they blessed the deal. They put out a few hours ago a statement that they agree with the deal and they blessed the deal. That's a tremendous thing. I believe if they had a nuclear weapon, there would be a whole different. Even if we made the deal, it would have a very dark cloud over it because of what could potentially happen. So now there are no dark clouds. We're going to have peace. And by the way, I believe Iran's going to be actually a part of the whole peace situation. But countries that frankly didn't get along, they're all involved, and it's brought the whole world together. It's amazing. I've never seen anything. It's so good for Israel. I spoke to Bibi Netanyahu just a little while ago. He called. He said, "I can't believe it." He said, "Everybody's liking me now." Meaning him. He said, I said that more importantly, they're loving Israel again, and they really are. I said, Israel cannot fight the world, Bibi. They can't fight the world, and he understands that very well. So it's amazing the way it's all come together, and it's a beautiful picture. I don't know if it could ever happen again. It was just a set of circumstances, like, for instance, taking out the potential nuclear power of Iran. So many different things happened that were so amazing. It's a lot of talent involved, I'll tell you, but there was a certain degree of luck, too. You know, you need luck also. There is such a thing as luck.
Mr. President, you said in your statement that this is the first phase of the peace plan and that the hostages will be released very soon. I assume that means both those that are alive and those that are not alive. And Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed-upon line. Can you expand on that and tell us maybe what part two, is there a part two or a part three? Because the idea has to be a lasting peace, and would that include the security guarantees that Hamas can no longer be armed with weapons that they can fire into Israel? I was in a city, a border city in Gaza, near Gaza. They had got hit with 10,000 rockets in 10 years. I was in those terror tunnels.
I think you're going to see all of that disappear. I think you're going to see people getting along, and you'll see Gaza being rebuilt. We're forming a council that the Council of Peace, we think it's going to be called, and it's going to be very powerful. And it's going to really, I think to a large extent, it's going to have a lot to do with the whole Gaza situation. People are going to be taken care of. It's going to be a different world. I think really the Middle East came together. Amazingly, they came together. You know, they have some countries with extraordinary wealth, and just spending a small portion of that wealth can do so much for that area. So we'll be involved in it, but the big thing is hostages are going to be released. It's probably our time would be probably Monday, and they're a terrible situation. They're deep in the earth, and they're being gotten, and a lot of things are happening right now as we speak. So much is happening to get the hostages freed, and we think they'll all be coming back on Monday. So it looks like that's the thing, and that'll include the bodies of the dead. And the parents that I talked to so many of them, but the parents are almost more intent, but equally intent is getting in just about all cases their son's body back than they are as though the young man was alive. It's just the same intensity. They want their baby's body back. That's what one woman said. I want my baby's body back. And the son is 25, 26 years old. So that's a very big part of it. Getting all of it's about 28. The number is 28. Will be coming back, but unfortunately dead.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court, you talked about how tariffs are critical, and I mentioned the Supreme Court will be weighing in on that issue. Interestingly, the issue of tariffs comes up on another issue with your constitutional role as Commander-in-Chief, and that has to do with putting tariffs on countries that are buying Russian oil. There's a report on Reuters tonight that Ukraine has stepped up their drone attacks on Russian refineries, and the Russian people now are waiting in gas lines after Ukraine targeted their oil refineries. I was there. I watched. You've been trying to give Vladimir Putin every opportunity imaginable, and he's rejected it. And now the Ukrainians have upped their game, and they're now fighting without handcuffs on, and they're going after their money, and you're helping them by saying to other countries, don't do business with Russia if they're going to invade innocent countries.
Well, just to go to the first part of your question, without tariffs, it's a different country. Tariffs have been used on us to take our wealth and to take tremendous amounts of our power away from us. They've been used against us by China, by Europe. If you look at the European Union, they used them very smartly against us, and that's not happening anymore. We've signed deals, and we've signed deals. It's not like anybody was forced. So we've signed deals, and the people that brought the lawsuit against us, that's before the Supreme Court, these are all foreign-related countries because all of a sudden they can't take advantage of the United States anymore because we are, and I'm not taking advantage of them, but billions and even trillions of dollars is pouring into our country. You see that. And we're a rich country again. And more importantly, we're a powerful country in terms of peace. I can create peace with tariffs. I'm using them for a lot of different reasons. If that power was taken away from the President of the United States, it would be a terrible, terrible day for our country. And I would say many of the things that I've done could be eradicated, and the United States would be in a very, very bad, vulnerable position. And these are enemies of the country that are pursuing that lawsuit. And I would hope that lawsuit would disappear. The country would be in a very different position than it is right now. And you wouldn't be stopping wars. You wouldn't be using the power of trade and the power of tariffs to stop wars. I've used it as an example. I say to a country that if you're going to continue to fight, we're going to put a 20% or 100% or a 300% tariff on your country in dealing with the United States. And I haven't had one country want to take that on, and they've stopped wars. I've saved millions of lives using tariffs. So if for any reason the court ruled against, and on the legal merits, we should be absolutely entitled. Almost every single legal scholar said the president has the right to enact tariffs. If you didn't have that right, we'd be in big trouble because other countries would be able to do it against us, and we wouldn't be able to do it against them. So it would be very unfair to the country. But in the meantime, we're making deals with Japan, with South Korea. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars like we've never done before. And we're making friends, frankly. They respect us again. We're like a respected country again. We were laughed at. Nobody took advantage of us worse than our so-called allies on trade, and that's under the Biden administration and under Barack Hussein Obama. We were a disaster. We were a laughingstock. But it really, and then we did great. We had one of the best economies in history, and under my administration. And then when this travesty of an election took place, and we relied on Biden, he let the world take advantage of us. And we had tremendous heartache, and just it was horrible. And it was blowing up. So we came in, and the power of trade, the power of tariffs, all of the different powers that a president is entitled to and allowed, and legally allowed, has brought us into a different country. We're a highly respected country again. You know, it's very interesting. The King of Saudi Arabia said it. He said, "Sir, 1 year ago, you were a dead country." He used the word dead, and other people have too. We were a dead country. Now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country in the world. And if we didn't have that power, I wouldn't have been able to make this recent deal, which is the biggest of them all, probably the biggest deal ever made. And we're getting the hostages back. We're getting, and they're going to hopefully come back in a good, healthy state. But, you know, they'll be healthy. In a short period of time, they'll be healthy. But their lives were hell. But we're getting them back. And we're getting, again, the bodies back, the bodies of the dead. We're getting them back, and which is very important to a lot of people. And things are going to be much different in the Middle East, but things are going to be different all over the world. And without the tariffs, you would not be in this position. I can tell you that. So we'd be a much different country, a weakened country. I wouldn't say a laughing stock, but we were a laughing stock just a year ago. If you look back with the Biden, the whole world was laughing at us. And by the way, they were charging us tariffs, and we weren't retaliating because we had a president that didn't understand what it meant and didn't understand what the meaning of a tariff is. It brought peace and wealth to our country and to the world.
Mr. President, a last question, and I could ask you a million questions about the Schumer shutdown, about the Antifa roundtable you had today. You know me, I can keep going, but I won't. By the end of this term as president, what vision do you have? What would you like to see Gaza look like? What will the relationship with Israel and other Middle Eastern countries be like, you know, as this process continues to unfold, and as you have convinced these other nations to finally involve themselves? And then we'll let you go, sir.
Well, Gaza is going to be a peaceful, much safer place. Obviously, it's been blown to pieces, and this is just not by Israel. This is over years and years and years. It's been heartache for many years. A lot of people say this is a deal for 3,000 years. So whether you say 500, because some people say 500 based on events, but other people say this is something historic for 3,000 years. There's nothing ever going to be bigger than this. And so Gaza, we believe, is going to be a much safer place, and it's going to be a place that reconstructs, and other countries in the area will help it reconstruct because they have tremendous amounts of wealth, and they want to see that happen. And we'll be involved in helping them make it successful and helping it stay peaceful, but I think it's going to be peaceful. I think, again, the Iran situation was very important, doing what we had to do, which was, again, 22 years. It was planned to be done, and no other president wanted to do it or whatever, for whatever reason, but they didn't do it. And having that was very important. But, you know, I'm very confident there'll be peace in the Middle East. I mean, the words peace in the Middle East are something people have been striving for hundreds of years, for centuries, for many centuries. And we really have. Every country has come together, and on a little different scale, but so important. It seems like everything's at a different scale, but we're going to make our cities safe. We're going to make Chicago safe. We're going to make Memphis, Tennessee, where they're right now, we're making it safe. That there's a difference in 1 week. It's like day and night. It's so important what we did in D.C., Washington, D.C., our own capital that people come to, and it was crime-ridden, and now it's as safe as there is anywhere in the country. It's safe. It's clean. We've cleaned it. We've gotten rid of the thugs. We took 1,700, in many cases, career criminals, and in many cases, people coming from other countries that shouldn't have been allowed to come, gang members from other countries, people from jails. The jails were literally opened up in Venezuela and other countries into our country. and we've gotten them out, and we're getting them out. But we took out 1,700 in Washington, D.C., 1,700 criminals that are no longer there. And we have a safe, beautiful capital again. You can go and eat at the restaurants. The restaurants are booming. They were closing one after another, and now they're booming. They're opening. And this all took place over the last 2 months. It's amazing, actually. Nobody's ever seen a transformation like they have in Washington, D.C. It's as hot as it can get. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And to see it be safe with our, beautiful buildings, the graffitis off the walls, the tents from all over, thousands of tents in our beautiful parks, our national parks. The tents are all gone. Everything is, and it's only going to get better over the next year. There'll be some rebuilding and some fixing up and some cleaning up, and people are proud of our capital again. But the beautiful thing is it's really safe. You can walk down the middle of the street with your wife. You can walk down the middle of the street by yourself. Your family can, and you have no fear. If you did that, if you said that a year ago, they had almost no chance of making it to the other side of the town. And so we're very proud of D.C., and it serves as a catalyst, and it serves as really an example of what can be done. But to do that, you have to bring people in to do it. You can't have woke police people that aren't suited to be police. You can't have the kind of problems that we have that almost in all cases, it's Democrat-run cities. So you can't do that. So we're very proud of Washington. It's a safe place, and everybody should. You want to see some beautiful things in Washington, you go there. Right now, your biggest problem is going to be you're probably not going to be able to get into a restaurant. They're packed and they're booming.
Mr. President, I think there's a lot of lessons to learn for how we got to this point tonight. The proper use of the strength of the United States military played a big role in this happening, the appropriate use of it as well, and your willingness, obviously, to invest a lot of political capital and time and energy and resources and networking and, to bring a lot of people to the table. We pray for the people in the region, and we pray this is a peace that lasts forever. But this is a great first step. Mr. President, historic by every measure. We appreciate you being on with us tonight, sir.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you.
It certainly is historic, that's for sure. Look at these pictures. So we've got these pictures just into the newsroom from Khan Yunis in Gaza. Celebrations in the streets of Gaza on the news of this peace deal phase 1 being secured. So just in from Gaza, from Khan Yunis, some celebrations. These are pictures from Tel Aviv. Live pictures from Hostages Square in Israel, in Tel Aviv. On both sides of the divide, relief, celebration, and still hope, some hope that this is achieved over coming days and that the hostages are returned to those loved ones there in Israel, and that hopefully a ceasefire can see peace for those on the other side of that divide as well. I want to bring in my colleague Trudy McIntosh. And Trudy, as we talk about the Hostages Square, we've heard from various people before. We heard from Donald Trump there with Sean Hannity. You talked us through statements from all sorts of representatives. Have we heard from the hostage families themselves?
We have, and after 733 days, Kieran, the scenes we're seeing, if we can still put them up, of what's happening right now in Tel Aviv, this has been relabelled Hostage Square. That is where the families of these hostages have come week in, week out to express their sadness, frustration, at times anger at the Netanyahu government for being unable to broker a ceasefire fast enough to get their loved ones out. Sadly, some of the hostages have died. 48 are still remaining in Gaza. Only 20 are believed to still be alive. You can see here, this is from the Bring Them Home campaign. The faces of those Israelis who remain in Gaza for 733 days. Their families have been waiting hopeful that they will be able to see their loved ones alive once again. We can also show you pictures from Washington where some of the family members were when they heard the news that this deal had been reached between Israel and Hamas. Here you can see the elation, the jubilation on family members who've been waiting for this news for such a long period of time. But Kieran, in the statement from this group, Bring Them Home Now, the campaign, they say it is our moral and national obligation to bring them all home, living and deceased. They say their return is essential to the healing and recovery of Israeli society as a whole. We will not rest until the last hostages come home. As we heard from Donald Trump in that interview with our colleagues at Fox News, he's confident that they will be able to get them all home, that he believes his own actions in terms of strikes against Iran, the tariffs, in his view, have been instrumental in bringing countries to the table, that after 2 long years, this war can come to an end.
Trudy, thank you.